kicking off today, so let me share my screen here and make sure everybody can see my slides. Are we good, Anna Laura? Everybody can see them?
Yes, we can see them.
Excellent. Okay, so my favorite topic, business objects. And here we are in 2020, and I'm going to be talking about business objects for this new 2020s decade. And some very, very exciting things are happening. However, we can't avoid the elephant in the room because 2020 certainly got off to a very interesting start. And with the COVID-19 pandemic, you know, all of our lives have changed. And not just, you know, in our personal lives and our business lives, but also globally as well. So there have been dramatic changes in the way we do things as a result of the pandemic. And of course, business intelligence to a great degree has been quite topical during this event, from the standpoint that people have been using predictive models in order, you know, to take a look at what's happening with the COVID-19 virus and the spreading of it and so forth. But at the same time, business intelligence has become absolutely essential for companies trying to understand their business better so they can make those right decisions based upon what's actually happening. You know, suddenly I've lost 60% of my business because of the pandemic. What do I do? What is still working for me? Let me take a look from a business intelligence perspective of what's happening. And so BI analytics reporting has never been more significant than what's going on today. And I had a conversation with a BI manager up in the Seattle region towards the early stages of the pandemic in May. And this was the quote he said. He said, "It's as though the whole organization woke up to the importance of BI reporting and analysis, and they all want everything right now." You know, because they need that information. And so business intelligence has been very, very significant. And if you've been watching some of our previous you know, webinars and Let's Beat the O sessions and so forth, you've seen some very, very interesting case studies. You know, for example, the one at Tenet Healthcare with USPI, where they built a dashboard for tracking COVID-19 PPE, the personal protective equipment, throughout all of their clinics and hospitals. And it's really made a huge difference, you know, in terms of helping them to better track those supplies, better make sure they get to the right people and so forth. And these don't just include, right, the personal protective equipment, but they're also looking at the critical medicines and the bed situations in the hospital and so forth. And so that's a real world application in practice there. I recently wrote a blog as well about a company, Hermes, that does package delivery, one of the biggest you know, suppliers of parcel delivery in the UK. And their business has accelerated, just like Amazon and other delivery businesses here in the US. And as a result of that, you know, they've had to deal with you know, this incredible growth, you know, in their business and getting critical information out to people, you know, reports and so forth, and being able to track packages better, and there's more of them. You know, being able to open up new hubs, new depots, and so forth. And business intelligence has played an absolutely critical role, you know, in their business as well. So BI definitely needed, you know, more than ever. So now that we've dealt with the elephant in the room, let's get back to the heart and the main part of my presentation discussion here. Business objects. We all love business objects. Remains the most popular and loved BI suite in the world. And yes, it still is #1 in 2020 in terms of its usage out there on a global basis. And the great news is actually this year, in 2020, Business Objects celebrated its 30th birthday. 30 years since its inception, when it was originally Skipper SQL and then became Business Objects back in France. 30 years is a long time, 3 decades. But here we are at the beginning of this 4th decade, and it looks better than ever. And with all the exciting things that are happening with the product, you know, I'm going to be standing here, or maybe laying here in 10 years, talking about 4 decades of Business Objects, and let's get ready for the 5th decade. But have you seen web intelligence lately? I mean, web intelligence has just got better and better throughout 4.2 with each of the service packs. New functionality, new capabilities were introduced. It has moved from being, you know, not just an ad hoc query analysis and reporting tool to now being a full-blown dashboard and data visualization tool as well. And let me show you some examples here. Here's a dashboard that we just quickly mocked up based on an existing dashboard that was in use to track critical activities at major hospitals. And in this case, it was in the Dubai area in the United Arab Emirates. And you can see here that we've incorporated infographics directly into web intelligence, but this is a web intelligence document. This is a web intelligence, you can see the tabs here at the bottom, a web intelligence dashboard. We can quickly, you know, take a look through all of the different pieces of this dashboard in order to get, you know, more information. And, you know, by doing so, we can quickly, you know, see at a glance, right? You know, all this information, and what's really neat now is there's new capabilities with third-party adding components from a company called Need for Viz, which allow you to incorporate these new third-party, you know, charts and graphs and tables, and in this case, Google Maps, right, directly into your web intelligence report, and you can interact with it between the data in the Webby report and the chart itself. So here I'm actually looking at, you know, where is the hospital that has the most available beds for this particular situation for me, and it's even giving me the routing instructions for the ambulances, so the fastest way to get to that particular hospital as well. And so I can quickly compare and say, you know what, you should go to this hospital instead. I know it's going to take 2 minutes longer, but they have beds available and your patient isn't critical, or because your patient is critical, get them to this nearest hospital right now, and this is the fastest way to get there. So, you know, just really, really cool stuff happening now with web intelligence, and you can do some, as I said, as you can see, there's some pretty amazing things. And of course, we have a brand new release of Business Objects, and BI 4.3 has been released. Service Pack 0 of BI 4.3 came out in June of this year, so it is now officially launched and released. And Service Pack 1 is due to come out in December, and Service Pack 2 will probably come out around mid-year of 2021. And those veterans of Business Objects releases like to wait till at least the second service pack before they jump in. So that's just to give you some warning as to when that will be. But there's just fantastic new stuff in BI 4.3. Of course, the biggest change is the new UI, all HTML5, very, very different to the current UI that you're using. And those of you who have experimented with the Fiori interface that's available in BI 4.2 from Service Pack 4.5 onwards may have already started to see the building blocks for what will be the new UI, or what is the new UI in BI 4.3. But a lot of new capabilities, a lot of new job flows, faster, easier to put not just reports together, but dashboards together, visualizations together, and build things very, very quickly, very effectively in the new BI 4.3. And great new features like the ability to use Webby itself as a data source and put a universe, the semantic layer, on top of Webby. And so now you could create that kind of master data source for one particular department, right? By running a single, Webby report and creating that kind of master report, and then providing them with a nice little universe on top with maybe a dozen objects on it that they can just drag and drop and create their own derivative reports off of that master report. And then, of course, you can dynamically refresh that, on an ongoing basis for them as well. And so some really, really exciting things coming in BI 4.3. And as you have seen with BI 4.2, they will not just provide, fixes and patches with each of those service packs, but there will be enhancements and new functionality coming with each of the service packs as well throughout the life of 4.3. 4.2 is going to be around for some time. I mean, we're currently a Service Pack 8. Service Pack 9 is due out later this year. There probably will be a Service Pack 10 and 11 as well. So don't worry, 4.2 is going to be around for some time. But 4.3 is going to be the business objects release of the 2020s. It's going to be this decade. And the great and exciting things about it is the fact that it's going to be around for the next 10 years. And so therefore, you can plan accordingly. Business objects is definitely not going away. I recently did a podcast with Kate Wright, who is the global head of augmented BI for SAP, she's based in Vancouver, Canada. And, she made it very, very clear, and she comes from a business objects background herself, that the business objects is very much here to stay, and SAP is very, very supportive of it. You're going to see them getting involved in a lot of promotional activities, over the coming months and years as they also push this. Of course, they have, their new platform, the SAP Analytics Cloud, which is a cloud-based analytics platform. They have provided integration pieces for a hybrid approach between business objects and SAC. But at the same time, they have made it quite clear that business objects is here to stay. And Crystal reports too. Don't forget about Crystal. I mean, we are going to see a new release of Crystal reports with BI 4.3 called Crystal Reports 2020. Love it. And that's going to be 64-bit. Yes. So Crystal Reports is still being enhanced, still being improved, and will be around with business objects for the next decade. At the same time, we have to look at the landscape of business intelligence in general. And I mentioned about Kate Wright and a podcast series. I did a whole series of 6 podcasts, which I recorded last month, and you'll probably see them coming out this month on the limitlessbi.com, where I've been interviewing people, asking them about, where do they see business intelligence going in the next decade, and what kind of changes should we expect to see in the business intelligence field. And the discussions have been absolutely fascinating. Especially, I talked to Jefferson Lynch from Red Olive in the UK, and about BI in the sense of predictive analytics and AI, artificial intelligence, and this is an area that they specialize in, and so forth. And he gave some fantastic analogies. He said, you know, he actually did a comparison between, you know, Iron Man and the Terminator in terms of the way that people are looking at artificial intelligence. And I'm not going to give that away. You're going to have to listen to the podcast to really understand that. But the point he was making was that we really shouldn't call AI artificial intelligence as much as we should call it automated intelligence or augmented intelligence, in the sense that the way that people are using it today, you know, you see these chatbots that are there every time you call your insurance company or your credit card company, you know, and so forth. And they're getting smarter, and AI is being incorporated into that, where you can actually enhance, right, the usage of people's time, get transactions done faster and quicker and so forth, rather than take over and replace completely. And of course, in the world of business intelligence, we're starting to see predictive AI coming into products. If you look at Tableau, you look at Power BI, you look at products like ThoughtSpot, one of the newer BI tools on the market, which focuses its attention completely on ML and AI. They're all about, you know, what I would call point type solutions for solving, you know, particular problems, not replacements for everything else that exists out there. So these emerging trends, we can expect to see them get incorporated. Are we going to see, you know, AI incorporated into business objects and into web intelligence? Probably not by SAP, but certainly by some creative other people, be they customers, be they vendors, who will no doubt and have already started to look at incorporating predictive and AI in there. And of course, we have cloud. And you know, when I presented about a year ago at our conference, you know, I said, you know, we still have a, you know, relatively small number of people with their business objects deployments in the cloud, but that has gained momentum in the last 12 months, and we're starting to see more people put business objects in the cloud. And the determining factor for most people was, you know, when is the right time to put your business intelligence solution in the cloud? And my answer always was, when the majority of the data that your business intelligence solution is accessing is in the cloud. And for most business objects customers, they already had established data warehouses, data marts, and so forth, and these were on-premise. And so the majority of their data remains, you know, on-premise. But more and more, we're starting to see business objects customers moving their data warehouses, their major data repositories into the cloud. Tools like Snowflake have made that, you know, very attractive, relatively easy. We're seeing more and more business objects customers move their warehouse and turn it into a warehouse/data lake in the cloud, and then at that point it makes sense to move your business objects deployment in the cloud as well. And so we're starting to see a pickup in that area, where more people are now putting business objects in the cloud as they put their main data sources in the cloud as well. And the other thing that has continued to grow over the last couple of years, few years for that matter, is the coexistence of business objects customers. Now we're sitting at somewhere between, you know, 45–48% of business objects customers in the US use Tableau, and somewhere between maybe 12–13% use Power BI. And so we're starting, you know, to see that shift where we've got that, you know, 60% plus business objects customers here in the US who are using either Power BI or Tableau alongside business objects. And so that coexistence is no longer, you know, just, you know, there in the background. It's very much in the foreground. And so we have built solutions for integrating between business objects and Tableau. And this is what's running here in the background as I'm talking, that this is the ability to take web intelligence reports and be able to intelligently map them directly to a Tableau hyper. And so you can pick up, measure for measure, and each of your, each of the parts of your web intelligence report, date to date, and so forth, mapped intelligently directly into Tableau. And then in Tableau, there you go, you have all of your objects there, straight from business objects, and you can just go off and build that. And then you can go back and set up an automated schedule to refresh that particular Tableau workbook that you created from that particular Tableau dashboard that you created from that, and have that being automatically refreshed every day, every 2 hours, whenever a particular event occurs. And so now here you are with your new Tableau dashboards being directly refreshed from business objects. And in addition to that capability, we can also directly access the business objects universe from Tableau. And so you can leverage information that way, and you can take snapshots of your web intelligence reports and your Tableau workbooks pieces and stitch them together and publish them as a PDF, as an Excel, as a CSV, as a PNG. And so suddenly the worlds come together much, much nicer, and you have this fantastic opportunity to leverage the best of both solutions. And 2020 will also be the final year of our dear friend Excelsius. Excelsius, one of the most popular data visualization dashboard tools around, one of the best products business objects ever had. Unfortunately, Adobe has decided to retire Flash at the end of this year, and in conjunction with that, SAP has decided to retire any Flash-based products, which includes Excelsius and Business Objects Explorer as well. And for those of you who loved, lived, and breathed Excelsius, all is not lost. We created an alternative solution called Squirrel, which looks and feels like Excelsius from a development standpoint. It's a no-code tool, so all you need to know is Excel, and you can use that spreadsheet just like you did in Excelsius, drag and drop and build fantastic, data visualizations, value calculators, dashboards, applications, very, very quickly and very effectively. And you can very quickly move your Excelsius dashboards to Squirrel so that you're ready for the Flash going away at the end of the year. So this is definitely something worth looking at, and I hope that you get to use it in the future. So that's my quick 30-minute session on business objects for the new decade. I don't know where I found this picture, but I love that. The universe is the change. The universe is business objects. We are the change. And as you can see, I'm super excited about what the next 10 years is going to bring for business objects. If you're using business objects today, you are in great hands, and it's going to be a fantastic and fun ride for the next decade. And just hold on. So with that said, I'll hand back to Anna Laura. Any questions, Anna Laura? Any comments?
Yeah, we had actually one come in about InfoBurst. It says, if I have IV Pro, can I have users that don't need IV Pro? Do I have access to IV Tab? It's in the chat.
Yes, so if you own InfoBurst Publish or InfoBurst Enterprise, and you're no longer going to be using it with business objects and you would like to use it now with Tableau, yes, you can certainly do that, and you can switch it to work with Tableau. So the beauty of it is that the IB tab not only provides integration between business objects and Tableau, but it also allows you to use InfoBurst on Tableau alone, so that you can do your scheduling and bursting in Tableau with InfoBurst, and your publishing and so forth. And so I hope that that answers the question.